Hello everyone and welcome to another Tinfoil Tuesday. How's everyone doing? I hope you're having a wonderful week so far. I got back from Planned Parenthood earlier today, so thank you everyone who donated to help me get that appointment. I was able to go in and the doctor, or rather, sorry, the nurse practitioner prescribed me a whole year of hormones. So I shouldn't have to worry about the prescriptions for another fucking year! I'll still have to pay for the prescriptions themselves, but that's honestly a load off my back. So thank you everyone so much who helped donate to the various costume months and stuff that helped me get that appointment and pay for it. Much appreciated. I will be all stocked up on my estrogen, spiro, and progesterone, which I've been out of for a while, so I'm excited to get back on the progesterone. I've had the estrogen and the spiro. Let's see what I missed. We are on a crazy hype train, 45% to level 6. Rattle around, how you doing? Social Warlock, Trey, with 54 months, says, ooh, my 6th sub-baby. Damn, Hannah, the years fly by. I told you to get contraception! No, this sub-baby's name is gonna be, Maximilius Van Billion. That sounds like an official name. Zytam, thanks for 14 months. Nemesaur, thank you so much for gifting 20 tier 1 subs, getting us to our monthly sub goal. I'm always happy to get over it, so if anyone wants to do gift subs for the rest of the month, still great, or tips, but we reached our goal, so thank you very much, Nemesaur, and everyone else who gifted subs this month. Dr. Worm, thanks for 39 months. Happy Tuesday right back at you. Geyser Proxy with a 70 stream streak says, one more week. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that my sister is a Jew and a Trump voter and takes advantage of the fact that Colorado is the best state for reproductive rights, and no matter what I can say, she won't listen. But I'm happy that Colorado remains a bastion of progressivism, that is. I guess at least her vote doesn't count. Consonant Jaybird, thank you so much for 17 months. Hello everyone on YouTube, how you doing? If you could like the stream, I'd appreciate it. And we have a whole bunch of stuff to look at today, conspiracy-wise. Should be interesting. Bong the Ripper, thanks for 36 months, says yay Tinfoil. That's another sub-baby. The sub-baby's name is going to be Henry Power Station Berg. Henry Power Station Berg. So, 72% to level 6 on the hype train. Keep that going if you can, I'd appreciate it. And let's just start getting into stuff, shall we? We are playing bingo, so get your bingo cards ready if that's something you're interested in. And we will start with, What about Peter's Cult Leader? He has a new music video. How's that?
Yo, Kimberly, nowadays kids not reading the Bible, man. I know, but what are we gonna do about it?
Oh, he's playing multiple characters like Eddie Murphy. Great. GamerG says, looking great with the tinfoil, Hannah. What tinfoil content creator do you think would surprise you the most, and which one the least if they ended up on the news someday? Call for an Uprising is pretty crazy, but this guy, Daniel Pratt, as a flat earther, he's very angry. That wouldn't be, like, the most surprising, I guess. Most surprising to me would probably be, like, Gina. Gina would be surprising to me. 30 seconds on the hype train. You're gonna oh yeah, we're doing this. Oh no.
Hey, who the are you? You must speak their language. Play the truck.
Oh no, he's trying to be hip with the youths. This is gonna be really bad. Oh, holy crap, Humiliated Grapes, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs and getting us over level 6. What a hell of a hype train. Thank you. Oh, this is gonna be bad, isn't it? Oh.
It's something like that. Come on, that cat, that force, and that smack. It's something like that. Something like that. Packing that scrap devil. That cat is something like that. It's something like that. like that. It's something like that. Immortal combat. Demon bodies get stacked. It's something like that. My God, it's true that. Pull me through that. I was sick of that shit. He saved me through that.
I don't understand how he thinks this is any more or less in touch with the youth than his normal raps. It's just as bad.
I was deep in that mud. Pull me from good. Father gave me that love. I shave like a dove.
Is Steven Crowder still a thing? Yeah, he's still a thing, unfortunately.
Chasing them racks, Holy Spirit moved in, only God at my back. Red dog going crack, devils hit goes back. Find a collar go crack, it's something like that. It's something like that.
Yeah, this is Peter's cult.
Cover that cat, dog force of that smack. It's something like that. It's something like that. Packing that strap, devil woo. That cat, it's something like that. It's something like that. You want to right? Got a look about man, it's something like that.
Yeah,
something like that.
the founder of Peter's cult.
Demon bodies get stacked, it's something like that. He was out for my soul, it's something like that. Devil trying to murder me, it's something like that. It's something like that.
I don't even understand what the point of this song is. He's throwing in random Bible things sometimes, but I don't know. Oh god, he's wearing Chuck Taylors. Unchained Mel, thanks for a $5 super chat. Says, just wanted to say love the costume. Thank you.
Devil, where was you at? I was shouting it out. It's something like that. It's something like that. I was surrounded
By the way, my shirt, if anyone's curious, says, I got 99 problems, but a lich ain't one. In case anyone cares.
Never texted me chats. It's something like that. It's something like that. 7 O's twerking back, trying to eat you like snacks. It's something like that. Panties off, kitty cat, break you like a Kit Kat. Devil sending that trap, yeah, something like that. It's something like that. Trying to feed on your soul by the.
Oh, this is funny. Hold on. Big Dick Energy says, the Spy Kids 3D glasses I sent are from a movie theater I worked at back when the movie came out. You said on past episodes you had lost broke yours, so I thought I'd send them with the DVDs. Enjoy. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Agent 007 or 00 Soul says, I'm wearing Chuck Taylors. Good choice. So today I went to the doctor's appointment, and I don't mind sharing this with you because it's funny. They knew I was trans. They knew I was there for hormones. So I did the whole, you know, when you go into the doctor's office and you do the sort of the preliminary stuff with the nurse where they like take your blood pressure and stuff. We did all that. That was good. She left, waited about 5 minutes. The nurse popped her head back in and went, you haven't had a hysterectomy, have you? Chat, I have not had a hysterectomy. I've never had a uterus. That somehow ended up on my medical records that I had had a hysterectomy. And let me explain what I think happened here. Minute left on the hype train. I think at some point, when I had gone to a doctor's office previously, I had been asked a question that, if for those who don't know, I guess like a lot of men out there, or mask-presenting people, if you are a woman or femme-presenting person at the doctor, you will get asked, when was your last period? Or, you know, what, something along those lines. I think what I probably said, and wasn't thinking at some point, was I probably said to some nurse, oh, I don't have a uterus, not wanting to directly say I'm trans. Because I do describe it like that, like, oh, I don't have a uterus. Thinking they'll get it. I don't think they got it. I think some nurse at some point heard me tell them I don't have a uterus and didn't realize I meant I'm trans, and instead put in the thing that I had had a hysterectomy. Big Dick Energy with 40 bits says, last bits to give. That was my funny story today. They corrected that on my records. Any chance you could get pregnant? Yep, they ask that. They tend to ask that. The answer to that is no, but I keep trying. What? Were you not listening to the story? I'll repeat it later. Beelzebub, thanks for a 3-month streak, says, hey y'all. Hello, how's it going? Thank you very much, and thanks for that hype train, everyone.
It's not you. Oh, devil roll lion, enemy of Zion, trying to kill, steal, destroy. It's something like that. Devil looking for blood, gonna get your whole punch. Where the hell is you from? It's something like that. It's something like that. Cover that cat, God force of that smack. It's something like that. It's something like that. Packing that scrap, devil. Woo, that cat. It's something like that. It's something like that.
Chaser Proxy says, you can't get pregnant. Do you not hold hands with your wife? Not without protection. What the gloves are for. No glove, no love.
like that.
Yep, it's King Bullethead. Good call.
It's something like that. Demon's body gets stacked. It's something like that. It's something like that. Come on, I can't stop forcing that snack. It's something like that.
This might actually be the worst song he's ever done. Because at least the other ones, like, they're bad, but they're mostly bad because they're offensive and, like, ridiculous worldview. This is just, like, a really bad song. There's something. Overthought says he heard someone got the hook and wrote one instead. Or someone get the hook and wrote one instead. It is a 4-word song. It happens. Alright, let's get to the satellite video. This is a video from Jeranism about how he thinks satellites are not real, because I don't think he thinks space is real, and if you don't believe in space, how can you believe in satellites? Penikagami says, update on my brother, the doctors think that he is cancer-free right now and will only need minor chemo for the next 5 years to make sure. That's great, congratulations.
Satellites in space don't exist.
Oh!
Houston, we have a problem.
I'm telling you, because a bunch of men say so does not equal truth. It means a bunch of men say so. If you take the time and actually research and check your ego at the door, you're going to come to the same conclusion we all have. For
I
example,
like that he says we all have, we all meaning the small conspiratorial community of flat earthers.
you will not find proof of the moon landings. Well, because there is no truth in it. Think for a second. NASA fanboys wet their pants over Elon Musk sending a rocket 50 miles high, and then that same rocket landing, with no people inside. Yet, these same fanboys...
The people inside are largely incidental to the functioning of a rocket. Fun fact. You don't put people in it at the early testing stages because they might explode, and that's not fun.
will tell you, as if there is not a question to be asked and it is provable fact, that 50 years ago, 3 men got into a Saturn V rocket, which is almost double the size.
Does he not understand that it's much more difficult to, like... It's not the fact that they went up 50 miles. It's the fact that the rocket was reusable, that it was able to land successfully between the 2 posts that it was supposed to land in. Like, I don't like Elon Musk, but it's clear that people at SpaceX have been hired and are, like, really good engineers who have figured out how to do things that previously weren't considered feasible in terms of engineering. That's why people are impressed by that, is because it lowers the expense of rocketry by allowing you to reuse boosters as opposed to just throwing them in the ocean as garbage like you would have in the past.
Size of the Falcon 9, shot into Earth orbit, did some trickery, some spins, then left orbit to the moon. They then go into lunar orbit, go around the moon a few times, then 2 of these heroes get into the lunar lander, go on down, then they got out on the lunar surface, stuck a flag in the ground, called the president, Buzz took a piss, then they got back in.
I imagine a lot of them peed. I mean, both of them on the ground had to have peed at some point. You gotta pee sometimes.
It launched back to a rendezvous with the former mate, the Apollo craft, and then it all
Sorry to hear about that, Lady Anne.
came back to Earth, went into orbit, and then landed in the sea with all 3 men inside, who just traveled 500,000 miles to the so-called rock in the sky.
The so-called...
But Elon Musk is such a visionary. Oh, he's so smart, a trendsetter.
He's not. People he hires are.
Long story short, do not let people just tell you that they know the truth without any need to verify or prove it. People are liars and
NB Volpine, thank you. How you doing?
deceptive because we let them.
I don't know why I said thank you. I meant to say hi. My automatic responses are broken.
You need to force NASA to prove their bullshit. No more free passes.
They're not getting a free pass. Do you think that the people that are contractors for NASA and the government at large aren't asked to produce results? It's literally why they're hired.
The problem, of course, is that they won't prove it. They can't prove it. Let me explain this world of ours, because a lot of people just don't get it. The powers that be give us a choice. And that choice is to accept and believe their version of reality, or to live in doubt. And while their stories may seem crazy to many of us, they give others feelings of security and purpose.
No, know about security and purpose. It's just, as far as we understand it, it's the factual model of our universe, of our solar system, of our world. Not about comfort, just about it is the reality that we live in to the best of our knowledge.
Their stories are the new gospel of the new religion of
Sweetness, how's it going?
statism or of scientism. Basically,
Scientism on the bingo card, we did it.
the religion of normality. And you cannot be normal unless you believe in their gospel. And you can't just stop believing in the gospel of normality, or else you'll have to find answers to all the questions that they have already answered for us. This gospel was designed with this exact intent. What even they don't know or understand.
What is that lady? I'm trying to figure out if she's AI or has a weird blur effect applied to her.
They tell you
Michael, thank you for following.
exactly what many want to hear. They pretend as if they know. Look at shooting stars, for example. We've all seen them. They look identical to the stars in the sky, but they're flying.
I mean, what do you mean they look identical? In the sense that they're lights? In the sense that they illuminate? That doesn't make them the same thing. We know that shooting stars aren't the same thing, because sometimes shooting stars land, and we know that they're like meteor. There's different words for when they're like in space, entering the atmosphere, and on the ground, so I'm gonna conflate them almost certainly. But it's like a meteor, or a meteorite. Sometimes they land. We know what they are. It's not the same thing as the stars at all.
Flying across it. Yet we're told they're completely different. The stars in the sky are suns trillions of miles away. And the little thing flying through the sky that looks exactly like it.
But it doesn't look... Has he seen an actual, like, meteor as it enters Earth's atmosphere? Because, like, I've seen some small ones, but I've seen a big one before that was relatively local, where it, like, I don't think it actually landed, but it seemed like it hit really close in the atmosphere, relatively speaking. Because it was, like, you could see it, like, ignite, basically, as it, like, started hitting the atmosphere. It was incredible. So I don't know if he's just comparing it to very small ones he's seen, or if he hasn't really seen any in person.
Happens to be a meteor mere hundreds of miles away. Now, you can go ask your friends.
Big ones are called fireballs. I saw one once. It was in high school. I was at band camp. It was evening. We were letting out, and it was nighttime, and I was the only one there waiting to come get picked up. I was sitting there and looking up, being uncomfortable with myself because it was high school. And I saw it, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. I remember it.
About it, but they'll just laugh at you. You can tell your parents, but they might have you locked up because you're insane. You don't believe the things that the indoctrinated masses do. You aren't normal. You're crazy. You're dumb. You're out of your mind. They'll say things like, the U.S. government can't hide a blowjob, and you think that they can hide the faking of the moon landings? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying they have hid the impossibility of space travel, the shape of the planet you live on. About pretty much...
Yeah, that's basically what they're pointing out, is that that's absurd to believe that that many people could be in on a conspiracy and it would never leak. It's impossible. That's not how people work.
Everything you've ever read in science. And the age of the Earth. On top of that, pretty much your entire idea of history.
Yeah, that's worse. You get that that's worse, right? You've just expanded how ridiculous your claim is by a lot by adding a bunch of other big claims. Does he not get that that's less plausible to what he's saying?
So, all that being said, don't lose your mind, but satellites in space don't exist.
Oh.
Orbits don't exist.
Oh.
Can we not add the aw sound effects? I'm uncomfortable.
It's all pretend.
Oh.
Please stop making those noises. Kagami says, part of the reason science from government institutions are trusted as much as they are is that the government is the real innovators of our society. Most scientific innovations that are foundational to modern living came originally from government institutions or those they sponsored, like universities, for instance. The internet, the foam in your bed, GPS, tinfoil, duct tape, pretty big one. Hook and loop tape, I believe, was a NASA thing.
Arthur C. Clarke wrote about satellites, and then, before you know it, they went from science fiction to science fact. Of course, Arthur C. Clarke was a high Freemason. No surprise there.
Freemasons on the bingo card. And predictive programming? Freemasons, predictive programming, flat Earth.
Now, I did not say that little lights can't go across the sky. They exist. I said orbiting metal expensive satellites don't exist. It's a scam on you and on me. A scam that makes them money, makes them seem overcapable, as if launching these expensive works of technological genius is easy.
Lennon Cat, do you want me to say Velcro? Velcro is a specific brand name. Typically, here's why I have to speak like that, Lennon Cat. Let me explain. Is because I am on the internet, and let me tell you what would happen. If I said, NASA invented Velcro, at least one person in the chat's gonna go, actually, Velcro is a name brand. Velcro is blah, 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 blah. It's actually hook and loop tape. But I did the opposite to avoid it, and yet I still had to take time to explain myself. This is the perils people don't tell you about of talking on the internet for a living. You gotta talk around the pedantic stuff so you don't spend half the stream explaining what you meant. And yet, here we are!
A single launch of a satellite can cost $500 million. To build a satellite...
And also, thank you. I was wrong about the hook and loop thing anyway. So thank you for correcting me.
Can just track and monitor hurricanes. $290 million, and that's without the actual launch. Add $100 million or more if you want a satellite that comes with a missile warning device. Now, come on. Let's just think. Let's use our heads. How could they be so expensive? It's a scam. Take a look at this house.
What do you mean, how could it be so expensive? And we're now going to compare the expense of engineering a satellite for a specific purpose versus building and constructing a high-end home? Like, these are apples and oranges. You cannot look at one and then look at the other and make an estimation reasonably.
This house is in Nebraska.
Oh, I see the problem. Living in Nebraska.
Is $900,000. Do you really think a satellite that is falling around the planet should cost as many as 500 of these houses?
Potentially. It depends on what they do. A lot of the cost is the launch itself, but if you're talking about strictly the technology on it, it very much depends on the satellite and what it's doing. Is it a satellite for DirectTV? Is it a satellite for the military that needs to have a bunch of stuff in it so it isn't hacked because it's used for military communications? What is it? Also, the house isn't what gets you. Fun fact, it's the land. The property itself is most of the expense. When you're buying a house, you're mostly paying for the land. The house itself, like, it's not nothing, but land is more expensive than the house that sits on it, typically. I say typically. If we're talking about crazy mansions, obviously that goes out the window. But, like, the house I bought, the land was worth more than the house, right? I don't know.
It is a sad, sad lie. So you pay $100 a month for your DirectTV. Go ahead and try and prove satellites exist. You won't, and you can't. So your choices are either A, trust men, because no one would ever deceive you, or B, trust your eyes and common sense. I choose to trust myself until I'm proven wrong.
That's so frustrating.
Not by some high school kid who's...
I want one of these Midwestern basements that's finished and has a pool table and a little kitchenette. I like that shit.
Says, of course satellites are real, man. You're a moron. But by actual evidence. Now, here's what they want you to believe, and even go as far as to call it fact. They say that there's around 1,100 satellites currently in operation in orbit around the Earth, and 2,600 that are still orbiting that no longer work. And they just stay in their perfect orbit, even though they should be sucked down into the Earth, and the ones that do start to fall...
Does he know what an orbit is? An orbit is specifically a path in which you will not fall. Now, your orbit can decay. That happens, and then it can fall to Earth. But if you're, like, suitably in orbit, that should never happen, barring an outside force changing something. I don't think he understands what orbit is by definition.
Well, they move the others so that they can make room for the one that's falling. It is, of course, comical. To those who have succumbed to the new world of indoctrination,
Why is that comical?
This is not for them. It's to those who still have minds and brains, because all it really takes is some thought to realize the lies. First of all, Is anything free? Think of the things out there in the materialistic world. What's free? Not a lot. It's actually pretty rare that you would get something for free. But think now of that satellite dish on your roof. Did you get that for free? When you ended your service, did they come and take it, or did they just leave it there?
Oh, this is an economics thing. He's not going to understand this. Oh, honey. They give you the satellite either cheap or free because they make their money not on the hardware but on the service, and it saves them money when you move to keep it on the roof in the hopes that the next person who moves in, it's already ready for satellite and they might just pay and hook it back up. Like, I literally, where I live right now, has a satellite on the roof that we don't use, but it was left here. Again, in the hopes by the company that, like, someone will move in at some point and activate it again.
No one wants possession of that thing, because if it ever is exposed, DirectTV will say, no, we provided you service, you got channels, you got TV.
Wait, does he literally think satellites do nothing? As someone who grew up with satellite TV, I promise you the satellites are what's doing the thing. When it rains, it fucks up the signal.
It's not our dish. They don't want anything to do with it. So I was reading about a few different internet companies as far as satellite phones and satellite internet. This one's talking about Wild Blue. So,
like, does he understand that you could be watching satellite TV and then you could test this? You could, like, cover the satellite, you could hit it with a baseball bat and see the signal die immediately? Like, how does he think this works?
Wild Blue has been operational since 1995 when it was founded in Colorado. And Wild Blue Internet Service became operational in the middle of 2005, a year after it was granted access to the Anik F2 telecom satellite of Telesat Canada. It was also in 2005 when the first Wild Blue subscriber began using its satellite system. Wild Blue deployed a total of 5 gateways across the continental US and Canada to manage their subscribers' satellite access. Each gateway is made up of internet, microwave, and broadband equipment for routing traffic from the subscriber's computer to access the internet. And people will swear this is satellite internet. Sure it is. Now, I'm going to do a little bit more reading, and this all comes from globalcomssatphone.com. You'd think that satellite phones would make sense and would be easy to use, but let's read a couple of their terms and conditions. First one talking about data transmission use and dropped calls, and due to the technical nature of data setups and the inherent sophistication of data transmission through a variety of operating systems, Globalcom makes no representation as to the success of data calls through our system, along with the potential incorrect use. The Iridium system is a low Earth orbiting satellite constellation, has inherent flaws and anomalies that can create dropped calls of either voice or data nature. Globalcom
He thinks that the part of their legal thing that absolves them of responsibility for dropped calls means satellite phones don't work at all? He knows you can, like, buy a satellite phone and use it, right? Don't iPhones now have a thing where they can connect to a satellite in a hypothetical emergency? Like a severe emergency if you had no signal? I thought I heard that. Hoka, thanks for 47 months. Thank you very much.
can provide data setup technical support.
Like, how does he explain satellite phones when they work, which is most of the time? Like, how does he explain satellite phones? It's like he's just assuming, well, they put a thing in the thing here that absolves them of responsibility if it ever doesn't work, so it must never work. Like, that's absurd. Like, let me put it this way. If I buy a ticket to Disney, and the ticket has some fine print that says, hey, we're not responsible if some of our rides aren't functioning today, because they don't want to get sued by someone if, like, It's a Small World is down and that's why they bought the ticket. That doesn't mean It's a Small World is always closed and never functions. It's them legally covering their buttholes.
on the normal provided setup instructions at an additional charge.
iPhone 14 can connect to satellites? Okay.
Now let's read about their limitation of liability, in case you find out that satellites don't exist. Among other things, it says the satellite services provided by the provider may be temporarily interrupted, delayed, or otherwise limited, and is not available everywhere in the world. Imagine that. Globalcom shall have no liability or credit due for interrupted service unless caused by our gross negligence. They shall not be liable for acts or omissions or from other carriers, equipment failures or modifications, acts of God, strikes, government actions, or causes beyond their reasonable control. Globalcom makes no warranties with respect to the service of any kind whatsoever, expressed or implied, except as specifically provided in this agreement. So then I was thinking, at least they get great internet service, right? So I looked that up, and it says, will I have access to the internet? Yes, of course you'll have access to the internet. And it says, what is the rate of the data speed? Very slow, 2500 baud, slower than dial-up. Go satellite phones.
Okay, usually satellite phones are used in emergencies, or like when you're somewhere where you need to call someone but there are no towers or landlines. It's not made for like insane data transfer rates. It needs to make calls. It's a phone.
This is where I think every one of these guys needs to go. All these liars and scammers. You'll see here in the Dish Network agreement that you are required to return all such leased equipment in good operating condition within 30 days of disconnection of your service. You are not required, however, to return the dish antenna, which shall become your property upon complete service cancellation. I wonder why they don't want their satellite dish back.
I already explained this. Doesn't understand their problem is capitalism. He's looking for a nefarious purpose, but the actual purpose is to help gain new subscribers. So capitalism.
Now let's read about the Communications Satellite Act of 1962. It was a very controversial act and was left very open-ended. The act was signed August 31st, 1962 by Kennedy. Let's read what the disagreement with the passing of the act was. Democratic Senator Russell B. Long of Louisiana said of the act, "When this bill first started out, I thought it was as crooked as a dog's hind leg. I am now convinced that would be a compliment. This bill is as crooked as a barrel of snakes." The American Telephone and Telegraph Company argued that using space for communications was just a modern representation of the submarine communications cables currently in use. AT&T proposed joint ownership of all the...
No, Jade's a proxy. Because 5G and 6G are not satellite things. Those are tower-based.
communication satellites with control based on these system facilities. Now, basically what this is saying is all these groups got together and said, let's all cheat people. Let's all screw people. You don't just get to screw them. We're all going to screw them. When we talk about the compromise that was taken in order for the legislation to pass, we see that the United States government, including the President, NASA, and the FCC, were all to maintain certain duties to monitor the communication satellites. The President was to observe every aspect of the development and operation of the satellite systems. He is also responsible for providing arrangements with foreign participation. NASA was designated as a technical advisor for the FCC and the Communications Corporation to the extent that would aid the nation. NASA was to receive reimbursement for the services it rendered. Yeah, let's give NASA more money.
NASA doesn't get that much money, sir. Benikagami says, plus those dishes are interchangeable, so you can use it for a different satellite service and the companies work together. Oh, I didn't know that.
A little lower.
Like, it makes sense that the dishes are interchangeable, but I never realized they actively, like, worked together to allow that. Makes sense. I can see how that could be mutually beneficial to them.
We see comments on the act after passing. This is very important. The year after the act passed, President Lyndon B. Johnson reported to Congress that the act is progressing well in light of the complexities of the problem. Yet at this point, little had actually been accomplished.
Lyndon B. Johnson's nickname for his wiener was Jumbo. Rayline says, I've used a SAT SOS beacon in in a national park forest. It definitely worked when there was no hope that any other kind of communication would have. How would he even begin to explain that? I've heard other space deniers say it's balloons. I don't know. I don't know how he would specifically say, though.
There had been no communication satellites launched, and only some research had been conducted to provide a path for moving forward. Guys noticing anything yet? So,
you don't understand the things you're reading?
As sad as this may seem, and it seems honestly very sad, and as unbelievable as it may sound, all of space is looking like a giant hoax. It's just the way it appears.
Thanks, Jeranism. Take a look at the bingo card, shall we? We have flat Earth. Hmm. Wish we had the opposite of, like, believe sci-fi tech exists, doesn't believe normal tech exists. Doesn't understand their problem is capitalism. Psyop? Scientism? Predictive programming? Illuminati, Freemasons, Cabal. Think that's maybe it? MH Darkbeast says, howdy Hannah, did you collect any Star Trek figures from the Playmates back in the day? I was never a Trek collector myself, but a new company picked up the license and I totally need the first figure they show on the site, plus I dig how diverse the line is. Oh no! Oh no! It's Tuvix. We did it! We made a Tuvix action figure. Oh, Captain Jellicoe figure. That's an interesting one. Oh, Captain Garrett for the Enterprise C. That's interesting, yeah. Oh, wow, they're doing a Mirror Archer. Oh, Wayoon, Captain Sulu. Good choices. I've said before, I'm not really a figure person, but that's nice. Tuvix died for your sins. Good. Thoughts on how to deal with Tuvix? Get him a cup of tea. Just hang out with him. Don't ask me how to deal with Tuvix. I don't have a definitive stance on Tuvix. What I have is disdain for people who believe their answer is objectively correct. Alright, moving on. Check this out. This gentleman is interviewing this lady, and this lady believes herself to be an Anunnaki hybrid. So, like an alien hybrid.
Are an experiencer. You've had contact, I guess, direct face-to-face contact with, we'll call it, the big term now is non-human intelligence, but we'll see about that. When did you first be?
Does he think that term is too PC for aliens? Benekagami says a lot of satellite companies are owned by cable companies, and those companies work together to basically have a three-way non-compete monopoly. That's why America has the slowest internet of the first world. If you allow the dishes to be used by all satellite companies, they save on labor and materials when customers switch back and forth for the new customer discounts. I doubt Starlink is part of the deal because Elon. Yeah, probably not.
Become aware that there was something different about you, that there was some other visitors in your life?
When I was a child, about like 5 or 6 years old, I have to say 5 or 6 because like whenever I say one specific number and then I change, number in another interview, randomly people say that I'm just like lying because I cannot point out a date. I'm not lying, it's just that I cannot remember the specific year or age that I was when it happened, right? But like I say around 5, 6-year-old, I started to become aware that I was different. And it was like more of a feeling, I know like when I would go to sleep, I will always feel a presence and I will know that I was being visited, but I couldn't tell who it was or what it was. I just know that I was being visited, both by negative entities and positive entities. And so I remember that I will start telling my parents that I was not from this planet. And I will say things like, no, I come from a different planet, and they will be like, no, what are you talking about? You were born from, my mother, you were in my womb, you came out of me. And I said, yeah, well, I teleported to your womb, mom. That's how I got here. So I was basically describing the idea of incarnation, and
Reincarnation on the bingo card.
I was very sure. I was like very confident about that statement. And obviously, like, I was very, very, very into like physics,
Yeah, Halloween Town. That's actually not uncommon that neurodivergent people end up in the star seed community. because they want an explanation for why they feel so different than other people. There's feelings of alienation, like you're different and you feel sometimes like you're an alien on planet Earth with all these other people, generally metaphorically, like you feel like you're separate from, you know, society as a whole because you don't understand it, and some people literalize that into the starseed alien thing, unfortunately.
Metaphysics, you know, and even spirituality. When I was more of like a 8-year-old child, kind of like a little bit older, I remember that I will play with my friends and I will show them that I have psychic abilities. And to them, you know, they will not criticize me because we were children. So we will play, you know, and they will think it was like playing, you know. But like they realized I did have abilities and they were like, oh, you have powers, you know. And I was like, yes, we all have them. And, you know, that's it. You know, I used to use my abilities when I was a young child.
That's interesting. I would say my first memories are all about space and aliens and watching rocket launches on TV. And it was so long ago. I mean, it was even black and white television and stuff. And I was about 5 or 6 also. I think that's when you sort of separate.
I figure out how old this guy is. When he was 5, there was black and white television.
From where you came from the other.
70s was when color became more the standard. 60s was a mixed bag. 70s was when color became more... Huh.
The, you know, your where we all go when this is over, wherever that is, the higher dimension, and you start to like be grounded, and that's when your memories really start to come in. So that's interesting, an interesting time. Okay, so you're psychic. You were born this way. This is not something you developed after your contact experiences. Is that correct?
It is correct. But it's true that we are all born with certain potential or certain genetics, you know. And when contact happens, sometimes
Yeah, dimensions beyond our own on the bingo card.
that experience triggers those genetics to activate, you know, further, you know, and expand. So yeah, it depends on your own personal trajectory. So yeah, some people develop this after they got contact, but not because they didn't have it before, but because it was dormant, you know.
Jade Monkey, thanks for 13 months.
Okay. Boy, I really hope this gets to this recording. Okay, double checking it. Okay, so when you say psychic powers, what do you mean? Like the ability to predict the future? Would you look at someone and tell them you're going to get sick next week? Anything like that? What can you give me an example of an experience? It doesn't have to be the first one, just a really strong experience that you have that helped confirm.
Really,
I'm not sure yet, Astro Fox. I'm trying to vibe it out. I can't decide. They believe... Because he doesn't think he speaks to her regularly, necessarily, even if that did count, because this is an interview they're doing. They don't talk all the time. I would say no. I would say an alien-human hybrid is still primarily a human. At least if they're, like, mostly human. I don't know, though.
strong experience. Well, I would go for the strongest. The strong experience psychic abilities that I have is weather manipulation. And this has to do with the Druids, you know, the Druidic, you know, the ancient Druids were
Weather control on the bingo card. Except I'm surprised it's not Harp or anything. She thinks she can control the weather. Weather control on the bingo card. That absolutely counts.
connecting with the earth elements, you know, and working very hardly with, you know, the earth magnetic field, you know, and the real energy or chi or prana, however you want to call it, to actually manipulate the
Poor understanding of Eastern religion and or philosophy for the prana chi thing.
weather, you know. And I did it, you know, but like many times, you know, with the help of my druidic, you know, guides. And that's the strongest abilities that I ever presented. But really, I will say that that's the most shocking, you know, because you actually change something's physical, right? But like for me, the most important one is channeling. I have the ability to channel knowledge, let's say, like metaphysical knowledge, for example.
So I want to ask you now, I want to get to your visitations. Have yours always been in like an altered state of consciousness, like a sleep state or some odd paralysis state, or have you had direct conscious contact with beings from other worlds or non-human intelligences or whatever you want to call it?
I do have both. Like, I have contact both in my dream state or in a altered state of consciousness, as you will put it, and also in a state in which I am conscious. even though I'm not really like the brain waves that I'm emitting are not the same as to like a random day, of your life, in which you're operating with the same dynamics, because like either I am in a state in which I am I have a very transcendental kind of thinking, so that gets me to deeper kind of like, let's say, awareness, myself and my reality, or because I'm meditating, and I'm in that actually like an almost kind of trance state, but it's still conscious.
Gamerg with 50 bits says, why can't conspiracy theorists like this get really into trains, 4X games, or Warhammer like most neurodivergent people?
Yeah, like there has been days in my life in which I was like living a normal day, and I was thinking things to myself.
Her Twitter is full of pics of her in Nazi uniforms? Are you serious? Marina Steer. Let me look her up. Let me find her Twitter. Marina Theron. And there she is. Oh! Oh. 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 Oh, she's like a full-on Nazi. She's like a full Nazi, like posting Hitler speeches translated to English. Black Sun. Swastika. Fucking Nazi. JQ. Oh boy. I've officially gone from being like, oh no, she feels alienated and she felt like she needed to separate herself. I don't feel bad anymore. She's like she's like overtly a Nazi. Overt anti-Semitism on the bingo card? Overt anti-Semitism on the bingo card. She's a space Nazi. And even in her bio, it says nationalist. That's so funny. Like, what, you think you're a fucking space alien, but you're a nationalist? What sense does that make? Oh. I know that, like, fascism is already a nonsensical, like, worldview, but to throw the alien stuff on top of it, just what are we doing? What are we doing? Move on. I would say no, Wampa. They don't exchange like that.
Let's just talk about a few things real quick that I think is very interesting. And I don't think enough of us think about it, okay? So, think about water and what you know about it. Like, first off, where in the Bible does God create water? Well, he doesn't. There's no creation moment of God creating water, okay? God separated the waters from the waters, but the assumption may be that water was always here, okay? That's just one thing. I'm not saying...
If a conspiracy theory is built from the ground up entirely off of biblical literalism, just throw the whole thing away. Throw the whole thing away.
Anything definitive, and I'm not looking for people to come back and say, oh no, but the Hebrew, I don't care. I'm just saying, in general, let's think about what water does. And isn't it weird that when you were a kid, maybe still today, you know how you flip a coin or you throw a coin into a fountain to make a wish? Kind of weird. Who came up with that, right? Why would you wish...
Hannah puts head in hands.
On water? Why would you throw a coin in a fountain, wish on water? Just something to think about. We know that God is in us and all around us. Isn't water in us and all around us? The answer, of
We are like 70% water.
course, is yes. Okay? You've heard as above, so below. Right? Well, we know that there's waters above. We know that there's primary waters below. How about that? As above, so below. We know that God separated the water from the waters. And people have kind of always wondered, what does that mean? Is there water up above it? Well, yeah, there's water everywhere.
It's poetic. Italian Shakespeare says how this guy started with conspiracy.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
And look, what do we have? He separated the waters from the waters. So we know that God is above us and below us. Okay? How about
Okay, so does he think water is God?
Jesus walked on water? Strange. Okay? So water's got some, definitely it's all over, it's spiritual, it's appears in the Bible more than prayer, more than a bunch of other words. When the water falls from the sky, it's kind of dying to give us life. Falls to the ground, it gets seeped into the ground, and then what happens? It's resurrected. It's resurrected as part of the water cycle.
Oh,
and
I
it
understand that, Jade Monkey. I'm saying the fact that he believes that is fucked up. I get ancient people believed all sort of, like, strange, specious things because they had to in order to sort of, like, get comfortable living in a world they didn't really understand but feel like they had a grasp of it. I know. But we can do better now. This guy should feel bad.
Ascends to heaven to where it will save us again in the future. Okay? We've got it's life-giving. You cannot be alive without water. Not you, not me, not any animal, not any plant. So nothing on earth exists without what? Water. Okay? Could life be a test to see exactly if we can learn to flow like water, right? Water gives life to others. Water refreshes their thirst. Water refreshes their spirit.
Is he about to invent the water tribe?
Quenches their thirst. Are we supposed to move freely and act like water? Just a thought. Again, it may be blasphemous to you. Unfortunately, blasphemy only is a crime for people who are in the same religion as you, not me. Where in the Bible? Oh, sorry, I talked about that. The atmosphere being water, yes. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about primary water, which is, I think, Dave Weiss does a good job talking about Gaddafi and what happened over there. But really, here's the insane thing about primary waters. Science ignores the fact that, and I guess it's because of big business. I mean, I'm learning now that science is, involved in this whole process because they need funding, and so I could see that happening. But think of all the money that's made from the existing paradigm of water being scarce. Correct? Tons of water, tons of money being made. Even though water exists below everybody's feet and not very deep, a couple hundred feet, we're not talking miles down, we're talking a couple hundred feet. But there's this scarcity of water problem that causes water treatment, transportation, distribution.
Does he understand that, like, the work is in procuring the water at mass scale to distribute to people? It's not enough to just have the thing. It needs to be potable. It needs to get where it needs to go reasonably. These things require work. These things require energy. Therefore, they cost money. Like, I get it. I wish we had a different system. Hopefully someday we will. But it's not a nefarious scheme outside of typical capitalist motive, right? It's not an evil scheme to try and keep water away from you. Hydrate. I can do that.
Bottling, collecting, cleaning, recycling, sewer. So there's a whole infrastructure that goes into the idea of scarce water. You need to take your shit. We need to rush it to the treatment plant, put a bunch of chemicals in it, and then we give it back to families as drinking water. If you think,
oh no, he's not into water treatment. That's not good.
I'm kidding about that, that's the truth. Hate to tell you, your shit and piss and shower water, what do you think? It goes out to the ocean? No. It goes back to the treatment plant where they put chemicals.
Right, it gets cleaned and filtered. Like, do you know how the water cycle works? All water is recycled, ultimately. It's the water cycle.
In it to get rid of it. strain it a couple times, treat it, and then send it right back to your house. Okay. Now, that's why I distill my water, because it is truly the best water that you can have, because all distilling is a boiling, basically boils your tap water, and only the good actual water goes up as steam and comes through the piping out as steam, where the rest of the water dissipates into what looks like cocaine. It's like, wow.
He distills his water. That's not generally needed in like developed countries like the United States, Canada, the UK, Australia, like places with modern infrastructure. You might want like a Brita filter, but you really generally don't need to boil your water unless there's something crazy going on and you're advised to. That's pretty extreme. Stone Corbell says that's what water treatment plants do. No, you don't understand. Him cleaning the water is good. Government cleaning the water is evil.
Salts, which is probably fluoride. We're going to get into that a little bit too. So science hides the fact that we actually have water being created in the earth. Okay, now the reason they can't do that is because they have this whole story, right? That the earth was like getting hit by rocks and gas, but they say the water came from the aliens or something, right?
What?
Water came from the outside, a meteor or something.
Aliens did it on the bingo card. No, science does not say aliens gave us water. Water accumulated on Earth over time because of meteors hitting it and stuff. But no, aliens weren't involved. Cthulhu Flower, thanks for a 20-month streak, says, with 20 months says, even if you can, due to laws and whatnot, it still costs like 5,000 to 10,000 to just get a well drilled in the States.
Which is just stupid. But that's what they want you to believe. Speaking of that, it's so crazy that there's so many synchronicities. Today, Dave Weiss sent me the video of... No, it was the app video. The app video was insane. It's like, what timing? As I'm learning about... Oh, and by the way, let's just get into something else. So within the last couple of days, I've pretty much have proven to me, I don't care what you think or whether it's proven to you, to me, remote viewing is true. Okay? There is something to it. It's a literal impossibility that the people who did my remote viewing session could have drawn the things that they drew without at least seeing some part of what I was thinking. It happened both with the first time and the second time, and the way they described things the second time would have never worked for the first time, and vice versa. So how is that possible? If you don't believe it, I suggest you watch those two videos, and we're going to do it again, and I'm actually going to give it a try.
Apparently I need to watch those videos on stream at some point. I'll take a look for them in the next week or so.
Myself, because I think it's amazing. And here's what we're going to get into. Dr. Emoto.
There are organizations that'll give you 100,000 if you can prove it. Is the James Randi Foundation still offering that? I know he passed away some years ago. I know the James Randi Foundation was doing sort of a perpetual contest that if you can demonstrate paranormal abilities, supernatural abilities, you get prize money. And of course, no one has been able to, because it's not real.
Proved that water has a memory. Anyway, what?
Oh no! He's one of these people! Water does not have a memory. Water is a molecule. It does not have a memory. That's not how this works. Homeopathy is not real.
What? That doesn't make any sense. So what they did is like gave a little bit of medicine to, or diluted a little bit of medicine in a whole bunch of water, and then gave a big dose of this medicine to other patients. And what they found was there is no change.
No, it doesn't work.
So what happens is, since there's a little bit of medicine in that water, it communicates to the whole water. The
Randi Foundation took down the reward in 2015. That's sad. I wonder if they weren't raising as much money and continuing to like be able to exist without Randy.
The medicine. It's insane to think about. Start to think about the implications there. Maybe if we said prayers in some way, or we collectively, and here's something I want to do, and I don't know who else we can get to do it. I don't think us watching this channel is enough. But what if we came up with a day, like September 1st? Everyone says their intentions, their hopes of what we hope happens to the cabal, what we hope happens
we passed in 2020? Wow, okay. My memory was very off on that.
to Klaus Schwab, what we hope happens to his, what is his little gay friend's name?
What?
I don't know. He's the evil, wicked-looking Jay. So those two guys.
Oh, there it is. That we already had overt anti-Semitism. But there it is again. We did it.
Good quality people like Justin Trudeau. What do we hope happens? Well, maybe if we put that intent into the water, and maybe that's how these long distance communications happen. So there has to be some.
Did he just say he wants everyone to wish on their water to kill Justin Trudeau in the hopes that it kills the Canadian Prime Minister?
Mechanism in my mind.
We had a Randy stream after he passed. We did. I guess that wasn't as long ago as I thought.
For remote viewing. To me, I think it's
Today's accidentally Nazi day, I guess.
water. I think it's the atmosphere. I think that just like when you get to, let's say you go somewhere.
And if you don't vote, it'll accidentally be Nazi 4 years. So please go vote.
And you've got a bad feeling about the place, right? You're in a house that's haunted, so-called haunted. Maybe it's not haunted. Maybe all it is that the water underneath the pipes, wherever in the house, has a memory of what took place there.
The house isn't haunted. The water under the house just has PTSD. Obviously.
And all that you're doing is you're accessing. You don't know it. We get to the house, we just feel weird, right? Same thing where we wonder why we can see somebody who's looking at us from behind us. Why would we be able to know that? However,
you're off the hook, Nemesaur. If you already voted, you're fine.
If that fact is being transferred through the atmospheric water, then it starts to make sense to me.
Did you just say... hold on, I gotta go back.
He was looking at us from behind us. Why would we be able to know that? However, if that fact is being transferred through the atmospheric water, then it starts to make sense to me. So a lot of these things that I've always had questions about, I think can be answered with water. It's also something that I think we can investigate and test ourselves. I want to look into exactly what Dr. Emoto used. He says he used a high-speed camera. I don't know how much a high-speed camera is. I don't know how many frames per second he did, but it should. There's another Flat Earth Reborn. So what I want to do is do the same thing, because what he shows is incredible. And it's what I've talked about, why the news is so negative, because then they put this negative vibe out there and then everybody's in a shit mood. The way they scared people with the flu, all these things.
There it is.
Could they all be answered with the idea of water and its amazing qualities? So in case you don't know, water is different than everything else on Earth.
Black's Law Dictionary request, Italian Shakespeare. You want me to look up discrimination? Let's see. Let's open to the D's. A, B, C, D, E. Did it. Discrimination. We're almost there. Discretionary. Not in here? I don't think it's in here. Oh, no, there it is. Discrimination. In constitutional law, the effect of a statute or established practice which confers particular privilege on a class arbitrarily selected from a large number of persons, all of whom stand in the same relation to the privileges granted, and between whom and those not favored, no reasonable distinction can be found. Unfair treatment or denial of normal privileges to persons because of their race, age, nationality, or religion. A failure to treat all persons equally where no reasonable distinction can be found between those favored and those not favored.
Number one, like the 3 stages that it's in. Remember, the God is part of the Trinity. Well, water is a trinity. It's got its gas, it's got its liquid, and it's got its solid.
time to sublimate God.
Which all three exist at all times, right? There's never a period where there's no liquid. There's never a period where there's no gas. There's never a period where there's no ice. How about the fact that water's the only liquid that when frozen expands? Okay, so
I don't think it's the only one. It's one of the ones that do because of the structure of the molecule. It builds like... It doesn't get more compact because of the way it lattices, basically. It expands, but I don't think it's the only one.
that's the only item that does that. So water is special. Water is quite different. So we know that primary water wells exist. They're all over. And yet science still says that water is neither created or that it's conjured up within the earth. They say it's all water that fell down, whereas it's been shown and proven that water is being rushed up in massive, massive quantities. I want you to listen to a story here that I want to bring up that I think is incredible. The first part of the story that caught my eye was that and I don't know what year this was. Let me find out exactly what year it was. A few years ago, there was an earthquake in Sonoma, okay, by Vallejo. It's about 2-3 hours north of me. Anyway, when that happened, all the fissures, the cracks in the ground, started to be leaking water. Okay.
Does he just think anytime water comes out of the ground, it's being created? No.
And I'm not talking about a little bit of water.
Groundwater is a thing. It's not being created.
I'm talking about, I don't know if I wrote it down. Yeah. So after the Napa earthquake, water started to rise up at 1,000 gallons a minute from the fissures in the rocks. And it actually fixed the drought for the whole area because the whole area was in trouble. They had dry lakes and stuff. Well, the water popped out. It was 10 times more than they're used to having come up from these springs. So they were taken care of. They let it flow down into the rivers, replenished everything. And then all these communities were able to drink. And they tested the water and it was fantastic. Way better than your regular tap water. How about the fact that we've got springs that appear at the tops of mountains? How's that possible? So Mount Whitney in California.
I can look this up if you want. This frustrates me when conspiracy theorists give a rhetorical question as if it's an answer. Why are there springs on the top of mountains? Because rainwater and snow melt seeps into the ground, collecting in cracks and crevices within the rock layers, aquifers, and eventually reaches the surface at a point where the water table intersects with the terrain.
At 12,000, 13,000 feet, there are bubbling springs that come up all the time. They come up all the time. So they're permanent. They come up constantly. And that's insane. Where's that water coming from? And when you're talking about 1,000 gallons a minute, think about how much that is in a day, right? Let me show you this video here.
Okay, everyone.
I have an episode of the Magic School Bus about the water cycle that might be good for him.
In my last video, I showed you a meteorite crater in Arizona that is supposedly 55,000 years old, and I showed you how the crater is still there, but the big meteorite that landed there is just totally gone.
Poof.
And I also went on to
If something smashes into a planet at the speed of a giant object smashing into the planet, does he think it's gonna stay intact? It fucking vaporized and exploded. They understand how shit works?
let you know that
I know, I say that a lot, and people said, no, they don't. I know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to me. It's just frustrating.
if you Google or whatever you want to do to look for asteroids, they're all computer generated images
By the way, let me stop right there and
by
look at
an
this.
artist.
At least,
So
at
anyway-
least he's smart enough to say that. Do you know that there's people that actually think these are real images? And that's what they show you for asteroids. They're complete. They're
There's a person in chat that says, if we vote for Kamala, we will become Communist America and we'll start saying, Comrade Kamala. Can't wait, comrade. See you then.
Obvious computer-generated images, and people can't see that. People who love the space lie, the
Yeah, that's like low-quality trolling, too.
lovers, the heliosexuals, they love it.
Ways.
Heliosexuals. The sun really does do it for me.
What kept eating?
I don't know if that's a conspiracy. Well, yeah, conspiracy theorist shows up in chat calling Kamala Harris a communist. So yeah.
At me was a scripture from Genesis 7:11. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same
Sorry, I said her name wrong.
day were
First time.
all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. Now pay attention closely. It says all the fountains of the great deep broken up. Great deep means the deep ocean. Broken up means to come upward. So anyways, as I went on the search, I realized that there were more supposedly meteorite craters all over the world in
Rats with 50 bits says, for the future comrade Hannah. Thank you.
different continents, all around, roughly around the same size as you can see here in these pictures. I took a picture from each continent from every one of these supposedly meteorite craters. But out of all these craters, there's nothing left of the meteor that landed there. And I say that in quote.
He said landed like it slowed down and like landed like a spaceship. No, it violently smacked into the planet at high velocity and exploded.
Supposedly landed there. There's nothing left of the meteorite, but all the craters are still there. So I want to investigate a little more.
There's nothing left of the bomb, but there is a large hole in the ground. We'll get to the bottom of this, Inspector. We'll figure out where that bomb went. Trey says, quick example of fast thing hitting hard thing, comrade. Oh, look, yeah! Bullet fucking vaporizing as it hits concrete or some hard surface.
And I'd remembered researching geysers many, many years ago.
I'll put this in the t.me/journalism link.
Geysers look like. But the images I'm showing you are what the geysers look like when they're actually erupting. So check this out. Now, does these craters underneath these geysers not look familiar to you? Just take a really, really close look.
The troll says, sorry, I'm 58 and grew up in Madagascar. Madagascar, has anyone ever played Pandemic Inc? Madagascar's a real problem in that game.
Now I'm showing you the ones
Excellent film, though. I enjoyed your Prince Julian. Does like to move it.
Erupting. Now let's take a look at the ones that are not erupting. Okay, now let's compare the so-called meteorite craters with the geyser craters. Now check this out.
I like the sting for Russians in the ground.
As you can see here, there's a runoff.
We play Plague Inc. on stream one day. I don't know if that'd be fun to watch. Just watching numbers change, right? I'm also not great at the game, so that wouldn't be fun.
On the meteor crater and a runoff on the geyser. Now look at here. Right in the middle, you see where the geyser actually comes up. You can see it in the meteor crater and the geyser. That's where the water comes up at. Same thing here. Everything around it is just where the water pressure coming up explodes everything outward.
Oh, now you understand explosions.
It's weird because it looks to me too like there's water runoff
on
in a lot of
the
those.
crater and the right of the geyser, they're shaped identical. That's water pressure, not a meteorite.
I'll stop it there if you want to watch it. He goes a little bit further, but it's an excellent observation. And this is why people should be allowed to speak, have a channel, say things. Nobody's claiming that he's 100% right. I like to hear somebody's honest opinion. Somebody found something different than we're used to seeing, and I get a chance to now investigate that and put it in my mind as a maybe. Nobody's saying buy into it. I don't want to see any chat messages like, you're so stupid, you think that that's water. I was taught that it was a meteor. I don't give a shit. Don't care at all.
So funny when people put their ideas out there and they're like, don't you dare criticize my ideas. Gonna get banned. Okay, let's take a look at the bingo card real quick. Doo-doo boop boop boop. Boot 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 boop 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 boop. Ancient wisdom. That one guy was citing the Bible as if it was objective fact. Oh, overt anti-Semitism. Conspiracy theorist shows up in chat. Incorrectly believes evidence is self-evident for, you know, the... Oh, look, they're both like depressions in the ground, therefore they're the same thing. Vibes-based conspiracy, I would say. We had satanic yet? I don't think we have, surprisingly. Or understanding of Eastern philosophy and or religion. Dimension beyond our own. Thank you, Halloween Town. Weather control. Is that it? Anything else? We had scientism, but not satanic. That is weird. Having weird videos today, relatively. If you put a bathtub in your backyard and it rains, it's a geyser too? It's not. Not how geysers work. Also not how you spell geyser, I know. Let's see how Daniel Pratt's been doing.
Alright, so real quick, I don't know, something popped into my head last night. I was thinking about
No new CC.
knowing the reality of this world and seeing.
Zytam says bingo. Let's take a look at the bingo card. Weather control, overt anti-Semitism, free space, predictive programming, and recording in car! Yes, we do have recording in car for the one we just did. Zytam, you are a winner, chicken dinner. Let me write down your name real quick for the bingo winner list. Woohoo! Gift it? Okay, I can do that. So let's see who gets the random gift sub. It'd be funny if it's the troll. Let's see. There we go. Round and round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. Who's gonna get it? Donnie's phone from the deep wins the gift sub. That's the random winner. We did it.
Mythology.
That's not what I wanted. Actually, real quick before we start this, I have to use the bathroom. So I'm gonna pee real quick. While I do, Chair will tell you about, the Police Story trilogy on 4K. Who put this out? Oh, this was a Eureka release. This is a good one. Pretty good transfers. Be right back. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why I started this and not the Daniel Pratt video. My ADHD is real bad today. To Daniel Pratt! There he is.
Well, I almost made it to the selection without talking about it. Week and a half. Oh well. But with new developments, just going to present my theory as to why, again, seems more painfully obvious than even before. They're doing everything they can to make sure Trump gets in there. I know people have said they think Kamala's going to win, and I get it. And with their propensity for holding less than integrity-based elections, I can certainly...
Man, that lie's never gonna die, is it?
I understand why people might think that, but... Timing is everything, right? Where all this stuff is unfolding with the wars and between... the world's just waiting with bated breath. I told my wife I went to get something at the gas station the other day. There's people lined 2-3 pumps deep, which isn't that bad, but for this place it is. There's rarely 2 cars waiting at a pump in line. And so I look and the gas is like $2.89 a gallon. I'm like, people remember that gas is always more expensive during the summer, right? So what, it's like there was, I wouldn't call it panic buying, but it's like people were definitely making sure they were going to take advantage of it while they could, which could be because once Israel strikes Iran, price of gas could certainly go through the roof. They shut down the Strait of Hormuz or anything like that. So now we've got all the liberal newspapers that have been pushing the super left liberal agenda as hard as they could down our throats for the last God knows how many years.
Since when have they been doing that? Gitara with 50 bits says the rigged election nonsense from the Trump camp is already in full swing, more than ever this time. Makes me wonder if he's seen some writing on the wall. Yeah, I think he's pretty much at this point putting his chips on trying to, like, fuck with the Electoral College, trying to get states to throw votes out, get the Supreme Court involved. I don't know. Feels like he doesn't think he's gonna win, though, like, legitimately.
Now all of a sudden they're all refusing to endorse Kamala. Some of them not only refusing to...
He's talking about the Washington Post thing with Bezos, right? I don't remember other... Maybe that's just because that's the big story, but I didn't hear about any other big newspapers not doing it.
endorse Kamala, but now endorsing Trump. As the world waits with bated breath for the inevitable retaliatory strike against Iran from Israel. Now, there's a few ways this could go. I'm under the impression it's likely going to happen before the election, sometime in the next week and a half. But it could also happen after the election, after Donald's selected. Because either way, we know Trump is an Israeli puppet as much as Camel Toe is, as much as she likes to pretend and act like she isn't. So, I believe this is all to kick off World War III. You know, I saw an article the other day. Federal government declares small business owners terrorists. Well, this isn't news to anyone that's been digging into the truth.
I like that he just reads stuff from right-wing rags, and then he doesn't understand that his view is entirely fucked.
For the last 15 years, they've literally been labeled as terrorists or potential terrorists.
What is he fucking
talking
talking
about? For the last
about?
15 years.
I gotta see what he's even talking about. I'm gonna let him keep talking while I Google this on my phone to see what he's even referencing.
Through the Department of the Homeland Stasi.
Got him!
So if you think Donald's gonna do something about this small business owners being labeled as terrorists, you must not remember that whole pandemic very much. And you must not remember the guy that...
Wait, are you specifically talking about people refusing to close during, like, COVID? When they were legally supposed to?
Shut down and destroyed thousands of small businesses. Mr. Make America Great Again himself.
Sorry, I'm trying to find it. I'm so far not finding anything in regard to small business owners being called terrorists, so I have no idea where he got that claim from.
Well, don't worry, Fauci told him to do it, so it's not his fault. Which just goes to prove my point. Donald Trump is here, make no mistake about it, because also during that entire pandemic shutdown charade, what was Donald Trump busy doing in the background? Facilitating the mass installment of 5G all over the country. It's almost like that's what the shutdowns were really about. Or a huge part of it, because, like I always say, there's many agendas behind their actions. What do they need to implement crypto as the main currency?
I'm just gonna put it out there, cinematically, if you were trying to direct a scene in a movie where you wanted to paint someone as an insane conspiracy theorist, having them drive around town with the city lights just sort of vaguely reflecting off of their face as they're wearing like a bulletproof vest, smoking a cigarette and talking into a dash cam, wouldn't be the worst way to do it. Like, I'm not picking up sane vibes from him.
A better infrastructure, internet infrastructure. So last time he was in, he got all the groundwork laid for that. Now he and his buddy Elon Musk.
No, he's not a Trump guy. His, like, philosophy and beliefs are definitely right-wing, but he's one of the conspiracy theorists that is so on the conspiracies that he doesn't trust any governmental anything, including Trump. I think he'd be happier if Trump won, but he still wouldn't be happy. Happiness is not a possibility for him. His own worldview precludes it.
Are going to make sure that crypto is implemented. And once crypto is implemented, Again, if you're listening to Jaren and you're under the delusion that it's decentralized, you know,
I'll give him accidentally based for shitting on crypto.
last time I went on Jaren's show, I think the only time I went on Jaren's show, the dumb fuck made the mistake of asking me that question. What do I think of crypto? Well, no matter how decentralized you think crypto is, you know what isn't decentralized? Anywhere that you can spend the crypto. Where the government, all they have to say is, if you accept this crypto, that crypto, any non-sanctioned, centralized...
Wow, when the flat earther thinks more, like, about a subject than you're kind of fucked, aren't you, Bitcoin people? Holy shit.
Crypto they endorse, it's illegal. So where are you going to spend your great?
No, he's not wrong on this. It's so funny because he's generally very ignorant. That's pretty good.
Crypto on the black market, period. So you better have some good connections to get everything you need to survive.
Yeah, accidentally based on the bingo.
Again, in my opinion, you do not have to dupe the leftist, infinitely easily duped followers into the New World Order, into Satan, the Antichrist's New World Order.
Satanism.
You have to fool the Christians.
On the bingo card.
Do you think Kamala Harris is going to be able to do that? Do you think Barack Obama is going to be able to do that? Or do you think Donald Trump will? Because once they elect this guy, once they vote for him, you know how it goes. Look at him now. After Donald Trump destroyed the country, small businesses everywhere, caused families like myself to be uprooted.
Harold Elbelman with 40 bits says, I'll be in and out because we lost a local news anchor this weekend, worked 77 to 2024. Eric Paulson, he's getting a second line starting in 14 minutes. So much of the city is here to remember and celebrate him before we parade to his old office. We're all pre-gaming now. I swear I'm not crying, it's just 8 different smokers, 6 seafood boils, and blocks of food trucks getting in my eyes. NOLA till you die, and even after that. Oh.
And move 3/4 away across the country. They're all still, my guy can't do no wrong. Trump, oh, he loves America. He couldn't do no wrong. So when he goes to implement biometric IDs, cryptocurrency, do you think they're going to question him? Some will. A few will. Overwhelming majority. Well, it must be good, or Trump wouldn't do it, because he loves me and America. So, we'll see how it plays out, but everyone that thinks, oh, World War III ain't going to happen, blah, 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 hold your panties. It's coming sooner than later.
Oh, boy. Oh, we haven't looked at Dr. Mumbi in a little bit. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Check it out.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Greetings, family, and welcome to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray, family, that you are very well in all your ways, and that you're moving into your own story and your own narrative, because it looks like the world is under some kind of alien invasion. I know it's going to sound crazy, but if you have ears to hear and eyes to see, then this is just going to be a confirmation for you, family. Because what I'm seeing is there's so much being done at the same time across the world to push a certain agenda. And if you look at it, if we take the semantics out of it, it's like things are being done that are against our human nature, that are against humanity.
So curious what she thinks human nature is. Benekagami says, one thing that this election has made abundantly clear is we don't just have a Nazi problem, we have an abuser problem too. Seriously, this entire cycle has been a mass gaslighting effort from Trump supporters. They're literally firebombing drop boxes and threatening Americans, but they keep telling us we're the threat to democracy. 8% of Trump own supporters recognize him as a fascist. More see him as authoritarian. Many of them know what they're doing. They're abusing us. Yeah, it's not great. Go vote.
And because, as Klaus Schwab,
go vote and get ready for the mother of all narcissistic breakdowns if he loses.
Of the World Economic Forum told us, they have people in every government, in every important institution. They have put us on this paper money, and now they're using that paper money to control us, to, to literally take over the world, family, through this matrix. And
a matrix on the bingo card.
So much going on, so much unrest across the world. And with the unrest, some people say it's distractions, but at the same time, so many things are being passed. There's also so much research that's coming out all at once that is showing that, vaccines can now be put in food.
They can't. This was something stupid Tennessee lawmakers did that makes no goddamn sense. This is not a thing that they're doing. They're not putting vaccines in your fucking lettuce, you goddamn brain-rotted pieces of shit. I'm so tired.
Vaccines can be put in vegetables. Vaccines can be put in the meats we're taking. There's a takeover.
They're not. That'd be helpful if you could, but you can't.
Of our agricultural, of our means of making food. They've already invaded our seeds, family. And we'd be shocked if we actually went out and tried to find enough indigenous seeds now. There is so much that is being done, family, to take over and clone the human nature. And for what I've come to recognize...
Dr. Worm says, it makes me sad how easily these people are manipulated. Conspiracy theorists in general. This is going to sound terrible, and I don't, literally mean this. I don't think anyone should be intentionally manipulated. But, the dark part of my brain, the evil part of my brain, goes, God damn, I almost wish there was, some sort of government agency that existed specifically to manipulate and corral conspiracy theorists into relatively benign conspiracies. Because when they're just, off doing their own thing, they're such whack jobs and so easily manipulated by other, interests, both international and domestic, that it almost just wish that the government would, propagandize to them in a way that made them more benign. Just manipulate them. Yeah, jangle the keys. Jingle the keys at them. Get them distracted. I don't know.
Recognizes this is all happening because the so-called aliens, the enemies of our soul that were controlling us from a higher dimension, have now taken physical bodies. And these are the beasts that are talked about in a lot of ancient scriptures and in a lot of ancestral prophecies. These beasts that walked among men. There's so many biblical things happening all at once, family. And I feel that's also why we're seeing so, what happened in Kenya, family, with the revolution, which is still ongoing. It was like our first eye, our collective first eye opened, and it's refused to shut. That would only happen if we were in seriously dire
She's
times.
taking long pauses. It's not buffering.
And seasons. They're really literally now trying to lock in the consciousness of the world, family. Just like there's star seeds and indigos and, all these amazing angels and everything who have manifested. There are also demons. There are also reptilian breeds.
Reptilians on the bingo card. Wow, she believes in reptilians, demons, and aliens as 3 completely separate entities. That's interesting. That's rare. Normally, you'll often see people who believe in either demons or aliens, and they think that the, like, aliens are really secretly demons being portrayed as something they're not. It's interesting that she believes in all of them.
Have been here for a very long time, but now they're actually walking in bodies, family, as our presidents, as our leaders, as the richest men in the world, as the heads of
Elon's not a reptilian. We don't claim him.
organizations. You know, it's funny because there's someone who had done a clip or who was giving a presentation, and they had said that by the late teens, 2018, 2019, someone would become president and immediately they would be replaced by a clone.
And that didn't happen, so...
And no one would be the wiser.
Clones on the bingo card, of course.
And they've already set up the narrative for us with our presidents by calling them corrupt, incompetent, not loyal to the people. Because I feel right now on the motherland, there are several clone presidents. The Ethiopian one, Kenya, Rwanda.
Wow. A lot of presidents of nations in Africa are reptilians, apparently, according to... What's her name again? Dr. Mumbi.
Maybe even South Africa. The Cameroonian one, obviously. He's never even in the country.
Obviously, the Cameroonian president, you fools. Couldn't have been more obvious.
And that's why my biggest encouragement in this season is for you to seize control of your mind. Strengthen your mind, family, because we're living in very serious times. And be open to the truth, because the truth in this season is going to be stranger than fiction. And these people are not going to tell you the truth. They just want to bind you into your, into their matrix.
What's she a doctor of? It's not a STEM thing. I forget. I did look it up before. It's a legitimate degree. It's just in something that's like in the humanities. I don't remember specifically. It might have been like, it was something studies. I don't remember if it was like a woman's studies thing. Something along those lines. Jitara says if Elon was a reptilian, he would have blown his cover by now. Yeah.
You can become literally like a farmed soul.
He also would have molted by now. He looks uncomfy in that skin. Women's studies? Thank you, Royally.
And now they walk among us, here to implement the final stages of their agenda, if you want to call it that. That's why there's so much mental fogginess around the world, family. So much confusion. They're not playing games.
Mental fog is a symptom of long COVID.
Here to
Just putting that out there.
Over. And so we must be ready to defend ourselves. And at this point, the way we defend ourselves is to defend our minds, to protect and safeguard our minds, and to move out of their narrative in every possible way. To really work on releasing those lower natures, because those are the dimensions they live in and operate in and harvest in. The dimensions of fear, the dimensions of lust, the dimensions of, making your root chakra, the one that's in the ground, unstable. Can
we go back to talking about the lust dimension?
Making you suffer and struggle for your most basic needs. I don't even know how to encourage you at this point, family, because there's so much that they delayed us to do. So we're not really in a place where we have our own platform, we don't have our own organization, we don't have our own think tanks. What
do you mean you don't have your own platform? You're literally talking from your platform. Deep Lord says, how is a department of jingling keys evil? It feels reminiscent of the old folks' homes that pandered the experienced reality dementia patients. Like, do you think CC, Cat, Gina, etc. are clinical at this point? I am not qualified to make that determination, nor is anyone who hasn't met them personally and talked with them in a therapeutic setting for a long period of time. I don't know. I feel like it's a gray area at best. At best, it's a gray area trying to manufacture, produce, and release propaganda by the government specifically to corral whack job conspiracy theorists.
Nothing in
Anyway, if the government wants to start that department, give me a call.
place.
I'm cheap.
So all we can do
I work for cheese. Oh, fuck. Hannah mentions cheese on the bingo card.
really at this point is prepare ourselves and our families, safeguard ourselves and our families. If we can, we extend to the community, because these are also energetic wars. And the energetic wars are very tricky, family, because the ignorance of your neighbor can take you and your whole family down. One ignorant moment can take you and your whole family down. That's why you see a lot of people who are awakened have been urged to move out of the cities, so they're out of those city consciousness, those group consciousnesses in the cities and things like that. Anyway, you know what? I'm going to do a part 2 to this, offering up solutions. A special shout out to everyone that supports us on Patreon. We appreciate, love you so much. And everyone who sends us a love donation through PayPal, we're so grateful for you. And there is a great gift in the mail for you. Until next time. Tuko pamoja.
Oh, Dr. Mo. Moving on. Well, the finale to Agatha, I believe, is out tomorrow. Might be Thursday. Normally it's been Wednesday, but it is Halloween coming up, so I'm not sure. But either way, here's a video from a month ago about Marvel, Agatha, and, quote, gay witchcraft. No spoilers for Agatha all along in case anyone hasn't seen it. I will not spoil anything. I've enjoyed it so far. There are a couple episodes that dragged, but by and large, I'm enjoying the show. I'm a fan of Catherine Hahn. She's very funny, and charismatic. I've enjoyed the show.
Continues to be in the witchy business with their Marvel continues to be in the witchy business with their rollout of the first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along, with Aubrey Plaza coming alongside Catherine Hahn to co-star as a witch in the new series. And when she was asked about the new show on the red carpet premiere in Hollywood, she agreed that this will be the gayest Marvel project yet, as we look at some...
What is Agatha? No spoilers, but trailer for the clueless. Basically, it's a show that follows a witch and a coven of witches going down what's called the Witch's Road, because they all have something they want to increase their power or other things, and if they get to the end of the road, they get their wish, basically. Sort of like a dark Wizard of Oz thing going on. I don't believe there are spoilers in this video. It's like a month old, so they couldn't really have that many spoilers, but if it gets spoilery, I'll dip out.
Some of the previous Marvel movies, series, and comics, and see what else they've been...
What are we going to do on Halloween? We're going to watch a bunch of Halloween stuff, and probably some movies. Some public domain movies, or forgotten movies, whatever. It'll be fun. Bunch of Halloween stuff, basically.
Perpetuating on their adoring fans. Stay with us as we look at these and other stories on the 511 News. I'm your host, Chad Davidson of Good Fight Ministries. And
Chad Davidson.
Today's episode, we're going to be looking at Marvel. Yes, Marvel and their new series, Agatha All Along, a very witchy-themed series. And before we get into that, what we would love for you to do is like this video.
You didn't love it like WandaVision. That's fair. WandaVision's still probably one of my favorite Marvel projects broadly, so it's hard to live up to that. That and Loki were really good.
As well as subscribe to the Good Fight Ministries YouTube channel and leave a 5-star review if you listen to this via podcast. All that helps just to keep the algorithm going. And we always like to see where you guys are coming from. So if you would like to leave a comment, let us know just what... Don't give us your full address, but let us know maybe what city and state that you are from. We just had some a great brother and sister that were from Sweden that just visited the church this last Sunday. It was awesome to really get to know them in person and be blessed by them coming and fellowshipping with us. And so it's always good when we do get to meet new people that love good fight and want to come to Blessed Hope Chapel in Simi Valley, California, where Joe and I and the rest of the team here do serve. But let's get right into this. Agatha All Along is an American television miniseries created by Jack Schaefer from the streaming service Disney Plus, based on the Marvel Comics character Agatha Harkness. It is a spin-off from the series WandaVision, and it is the 11th television series in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, produced by Marvel Studios. The premise is that 3 years after being trapped in the town of Westview, New Jersey, at the end of the miniseries, WandaVision, the witch Agatha Harkness escapes with the help of a goth teen who wishes to face the trials of the legendary Witch's Road. Without her magical powers, Agatha and the team form a new coven of witches with which to face their trials. And of course, these things are always on our radar because Disney Plus and so forth, a lot of parents put their iPads or whatever down at the dinner table and hand it over to their children, and they start playing on Disney Plus. And this is some of the stuff that they get to click on and watch. So obviously,
I don't know if a little kid would like Agatha, if I'm being honest.
Anything that pushes witchcraft, whether Harry Potter or otherwise, and point it in a positive light. And in fact, when we actually look at that in the scripture, that's one of the clear indications that we can kind of go to, is whether or not someone is pushing witchcraft in a positive way, or pushing, I don't know, fornication in a positive way, or any other.
Sir, if you fornicated, it's a pretty positive experience.
Other sin that the Bible says, if you practice, will not allow you to inherit the kingdom of God. We want to make sure that's repudiated and only talked about in the negative. It should never be talked about in fellowship with. It should never be talked about in jest, but always should be repudiated. So that right there, automatically, witches coven, all the things we're talking about, that should point and say, yeah, we shouldn't be watching that. But on the red carpet regarding this, and a lot of the stuff, even trying to search for it, trying to not watch entire episodes, but see clips of it online, when you go, the number one thing that kept getting pushed on there was a very erotic scene with the two characters, with Catherine Hahn playing Agatha, and then also there with Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, Catherine Hahn and Aubrey Plaza have a very a scene full of a lot of sexual tension, and it's implied that they are exes. That's not really a spoiler. It's like the first episode. It's just like a basic thing, but I don't know. That was an enjoyable scene.
And not only is that going on, but she was asked on the red carpet at the premiere for this show, hey, is this the gayest project ever? And this is what she had to say.
I'm told, I've seen the first episode, but Agatha is the gayest Marvel project yet. Do you agree?
It better be, because that's what I signed up for. I think it is.
Now, obviously, that could be in jest or whatever, but there is obviously some
definitely tongue-in-cheek. But yeah, there's a decent bit of queer stuff in there
going on in the show. And what I was also wondering is, has anybody actually put this to the test? Because here are just a few of the Marvel Universe many queer characters and storylines. North Star is the first major gay character in Marvel.
This is comics. She's in a show. They were talking about live action.
Marvel Comics. And a member.
Chitara says, oh my Paul, does this fucking guy think that witchcraft is real? This grown-ass man? This whole-ass adult? I know we say chuds have lost the plot, but I'm starting to think that these folks have lost the damn rough drafts. I think there's a statistic I saw that 40% of Americans believe in literal angels existing and interceding in people's lives. So like half the country thinks magic is real. They did say MCU, so and he's comparing comics, which is a weird thing, but okay.
The original Alpha Flight superhero team. Wiccan, a canonically gay character who appears in WandaVision as Billy. In the comics, he is in a relationship with Hulkling. Speed, a bisexual character who appears in WandaVision as Tommy. Loki, confirmed to be bisexual in the Disney Plus series, where he and his female variant Sylvie discuss their love lives. Sylvie, Loki's female variant, who is also confirmed to be bisexual in the Disney Plus series. Phastos, the first gay character in the MCU to have an on-screen kiss, which happens in the 2021 film Eternals. Logan Lewis, a bisexual young woman who takes on the mantle of Nightshade to protect her community in Chicago. Escapade, a transgender mutant whose real name is Shayla Sexton. Korg, revealed to be queer in 2022. Star-Lord, Nomad Peter Quill is shown to be bisexual. Black Cat, Felicia Hardy, said she had a girlfriend. Deadpool, Wade Wilson identifies as pansexual. Gwenpool, Gwendolyn Poole came out as asexual and aromantic. And if that...
It's always funny when these people get mad at asexual people to me, because it's like, what are you mad about? They're literally just not participating in an activity, or at least they don't have those feelings, and that's fine. Loki being queer is just accurate. Yeah, that's a ridiculous thing for them to get mad at.
Long list of perpetuating...
yeah, most of those were comics, but...
debauchery isn't enough. In the opening scene of Avengers Endgame, what you have there is somewhat of an AA meeting after 50% of the population
Not an AA meeting.
has pretty much...
The support group. Does this guy not know the words for support group? Oh god, that explains a lot.
disappeared at the snap of a finger of Thanos, and now at these meetings, they are all sitting around talking about how they're getting on with their life with all their friends leaving, and who's in the scene? Immediately talking about his gay date that he went on.
You can just call it a date. You can just call it a date. We don't normally call them gay dates. We just call them dates. And you happen to be gay.
No.
Or bi or whatever.
Other than the director of Endgame, Joe Russo, who is right there.
Harbkosian says, as an ace, it baffles me that they get pissed off about what I'm not doing. It's so funny because typically their whole thing is like, oh, sexuality outside of Christian marriage is sinful, and you should never do anything sexual unless it's specifically with your monogamous life partner through Christian marriage. And then ace people show up and they go, no, not like that. Not like that. You still need to be horny. You need to be horny for other people. Chitara says these same folks get mad at Thor being a chunky fella in God of War Ragnarok. Them being mad at Marvel Loki being bi doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
And being encouraged by, who else? Captain America, to continue his gay dating, and that'll make things get better. So it seems like they've been pushing this stuff all along, and of course having...
Showing gay people exist like in real life is pushing something, and that something is just a depiction of reality, because again, gay people exist, so not really pushing anything. This would be like if you showed, imagine if you showed straight people in a show, as most shows do, and going like, ugh, pushing this straightness in our face, like straight people exist, gay people exist, they're gonna be in media. Just like trees and books and computers and dogs and cats, because all these things exist in reality, and media is a reflection of reality. It can be a distorted reflection, but it's nonetheless media based on our collective understanding of the world. It requires that to make sense. Let's see. They're mad at the asexual people because that eliminates the possibility that the ace person will sleep with them specifically. I hadn't considered that.
It, and notice how many things I mentioned first time we're seeing this is on Disney Plus. And we of course have Aubrey Plaza, who is a very dark character. Some people had watched her in Parks and Rec as a, in comedy and so forth. But this is not the first demonic show or video or movie she's been on. In fact, she played Laura Feinberg, who actually slept with the devil and gave birth to the Antichrist in Little Demon.
Which is a comedy animated series.
You can actually hear a little bit of the plot as we've covered Little Demon on this very show. Little Demon FX animated horror features frontal nudity and expletives. Quote, "We're going to keep going for it," says co-creator. Quote, "We are going to keep going for it until we are told no." Kirshner told reporters today during FX's...
What if I prefer rear nudity?
Television Critics Tour panel. Quote, "We cut a bunch of stuff out, oddly enough." And Danny DeVito, who plays the devil, said this, "I have a quest as the devil. I met a beautiful woman, and I have a gorgeous Antichrist daughter who I love and want to be with."
Didn't she also play Scott Pilgrim's sister in the live-action movie? Yes.
"I get to play all the devilish things I've had in my career, And this also gives me a family I care about.
Yeah, this is a show for adults. Does he know that?
Very, very, usually portrayed in many ways. Got many faces, and I feel like a lot of times he's been maligned. I mean, he's really a nice guy.
Correct, Amber.
Deep down inside, he's really a good guy. I think one of my big ones is the fact that Satan is. Is very bold in terms of who he murders. He murders a lot of people, and just on a random, one random day, I would just go out and murder. It doesn't matter let me give you a hint. It doesn't matter how old you are, for me to be able to just, take you out. So yeah, okay.
So you see, with Aubrey Plaza, she of course doesn't mind playing these witchy or demonic characters, whether in voiceover or in person here, her actual person in lesbian relationships, it looks like, or at least pushing.
God, the way he said lesbian there, it's like
actual person in lesbian relationships.
It's like he had to force it out of his gullet. Lesbian.
Relationships, it looks like, or at least pushing that sort of erotica on film. And that has been Marvel's MO. And a lot of people don't even realize how much Marvel has pushed. And we have...
MH Darkbeast says, I still have to laugh at the chuds that complain that women get sexy Thor or Hulk and men get so-called elderly cat mom with her backside in Agatha all along. I'm gay as hell and Catherine Hahn is my one. Catherine Hahn's incredibly attractive, so that's wild to me. They're such babies. Gitara says, because playing these roles sounds rad as hell, you cardboard prude.
An entire series on Marvel that we are working on. In fact, the third installment of our series on Marvel, which is Marvel and DC's War on God, you can actually see that Marvel pushes Antichrist agendas. They take entire characters and make them in the image of Aleister Crowley. And I just was able, alongside the rest of the Good Fight team, we were able to put up our brand new part 3 of this series. And
Danny was in Junior, I think. He was one of the other scientists or something.
I'm not letting out any of the details, and the only ones that know that we've actually reviewed it and it's in the process of final editing are our Patreons. So we want to thank you guys. And if you are a Patreon subscriber, you're going to be the first ones to know what the title is. You're going to be the first ones to be able to actually watch it. We put it up there for everyone on patreon.com/goodfight who are contributing. They're going to get to see it earlier. Other people, it'll be available to other people as well, everyone, but we only make it available early for those who are on Patreon. So if you want to be a Patreon, it's kind of one of the benefits. And mostly if you're on Patreon, it's just because you're saying,
I think I'm
want
done with this guy complaining about representation.
Hey everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about all things inner Earth. Now, I know there are a bunch of videos out there on this topic.
Gitara says, imagine shelling out money on Patreon to a guy who spends every video telling you can't consume entertaining media or enjoy anything fun. Seems like a waste. That's why you should subscribe to my Patreon, where we will enjoy entertaining media and other things. Is that a plug? They do it?
But I do feel like none of them really cover the whole subject.
Get it? Whole, hollow earth, whole. No? Okay.
Most of them either look at it from a hollow earth angle, or they only scratch the surface of what's really going on. Here's the thing about hollow earth though. It's always talked about like the earth is definitely a globe with a hollow center. But a lot of people find that hard to swallow, so they end up dismissing the whole idea as just some crazy fantasy. But even if the earth isn't shaped how we think it is, there could still be huge underground spaces where people or other beings are living. Usually when talking about hollow earth, it's always about this hidden civilization called Agartha living in the center. But if we shift our focus to inner earth instead, we're not stuck on any one model of what we're living on. It's more about the idea that there could be hidden civilizations beneath our feet.
Did I watch this one already? Did I watch this in my private time, or did I watch this on stream already?
No matter what shape the Earth is. Think about it. We've only drilled about 7 miles down into the Earth. Now in this video, I'm not going to prescribe to any specific model. I just wanted to preface with that no one really knows how far you can go down. Which
Halfway. After that, you start going back up.
means there's a lot of mystery when it comes to what's beneath our feet. Is there a secret government controlling the surface from below?
Yeah, we watched this on stream. Okay.
Hey guys, I am
Bad audio. Try this.
Mythology, myths, legends are artificial, advanced technology created by superior humans. Even we can create this. Robotics, robots, advanced technology, ships, artificial intelligence. Let's see photos. Let's see photos. For you and I, these are normal robots we see in video games and movies, and even today in robotics at universities and the technology. But for a primitive human being in a primitive village that only knows about hunting and multiplying himself with his wife, and typical life village and primitive and no vocabulary, no knowledge, they would see this and they would say, mythical creatures, monsters, dragons, demons, devils, whatever. Let's see.
So he basically thinks the plot of Horizon Zero Dawn, or the Horizon series, which is literally where he gets these pictures from, is real. This is a lazy conspiracy theory. He's literally just pointing at the mythology of a piece of fiction and just going, yeah, that. What if that? What if that happened?
I'm gonna try and impress you in this short video. Let's move along with more stuff. So this is our pictures of robots. You're just gonna say, so what? It's just video games and movies and science fiction, blah blah. Nothing to see here. Just move along.
Yeah, popular movie game is evil on the bingo card.
From the Marvel Avengers movies, so-called reptilians from other dimensions. Well, let's see.
The Chitauri aren't reptilians.
The Leviathan attacking New York in the 2012 Avengers movie. Leviathan, for a human being primitive with no technology, no vocabulary, even for us, when we go to villages, I was a kid, I would go to the villages with the old people, and they would say, oh, this is demonic stuff, wizards, blah blah. No, it's technology. It's advanced robotics technology.
You silly elders who believe in demons, he says, being a guy who believes Nazis escaped Germany and have a secret base in Antarctica where they secretly control the world. Harold Elbelman with 40 bits says, we've arrived. Just saw a black man in his 60s on a penny farthing and a guy I can only describe as the quintessence of funeral celebrations here. Posted to the chat Discord by the time you read this. Oh.
Artificial intelligence and with computers created by a superior humanity. Okay, let's see more stuff. So the Leviathan. You say, oh, the mythical creatures like the Leviathan, the Kraken, Jonah and the whale, Greek mythology, Norse mythology, Aztec mythology, Sumerian mythology, Mesopotamian mythology, Indian mythology. Yes. Just like the Vimanas, right? The Vimanas are the chariots of the gods. No, UFO, flying saucers. Let's see. The dragons as part of the medieval way of thinking. Oh, we see dragons in the sky. Dragons or this? Organic looking, but robots and ships and airships.
Again, this is from Avengers, so...
And technology. Let's move on. Coming through a portal, electromagnetic. Forget about the spinning globe ball Earth. That's just, we have to see through the lines. Coming through portals. For a mere mortal with no technology and no understanding, oh, they're demons, they're an invasion of extraterrestrials and aliens, it's the devil, it's Satan, it's Lucifer. No, it's technology. Or it was, oh, the gods, oh, it's God, Yahweh, the God. Chitauri flying on their chariots, which are technology, looking organic. Representations of the medieval ages and the old times of demons and reptiles. Oh, they're demons, they're reptilians. Really? Look, Chitauri with a reptilian-looking armor. It's an armor that looks like a devil looking with eyes and stuff.
I did see the crazy taxi thing, MH Dark Beast.
Alien, devil, demon looking. No, armor that looks like a bad thing. Of course it's a bad thing if he takes the weapon and shoots at you. But if it's just a human being in an armor. And these are like, I'm just going to show you bits and pieces. Ancient cultures, they would paint their bodies emulating reptilian-looking type with scales. What if those scales are not reptilian, but they're part of the armor, a suit? Like we see in video games, like the military has these armors that look like reptilian scales, but they're armor made of metal. And the primitive people, they just paint their bodies to emulate what they saw in superior humanities with technology. The ancient mythological giant creatures, we have no bones. We have bones of giants, 5 meters tall, but
we don't have any bones of giants,
which were censored and banned. But we have no bones of these type of creatures because they were not organic. They were metal, and metal can be scrapped and destroyed and collected and stuff. So you're not going to have anything. We might, if we would be allowed to excavate certain places, we might see these some kind of ships like these, which are like left there to rot in the middle of nowhere. Well, we can't. So Hercules. No, the thing, Hercules destroys the Hydra, cuts the Hydra's head, and all these monsters in Greek mythology and Norse mythology and Egyptian mythology and all the mythologies. Or is it just like monsters that we think they're monsters, but they're actually technology robots, even people in mech suits? And Hercules was just a hero in another mech suit or with technology fighting against other humans in technology. I'll give you an example of Hercules because it's a well-known. So yeah, mech suits, armors, humans using technology. And for a primitive person, they would look like demons. They would look like monsters.
Okay, he's just repeating himself. We get it. Old ancient people, we get it. The Arthur C. Clarke, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. We get it. Oh, okay.
Hi, welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. Hey, I wanted to share this quick article that I ran across when I was taking a little break. It's called The Rip in the World, and it was written by Jonah Walters on October 24th of this year. And he's talking about this place that he went to that's south of Iceland in the Atlantic Ocean. And it is well, they call it the newest volcano in the world, which I thought was
Green Man Rocks 83. Thanks for following.
Interesting because, you know, these other volcanoes are supposed to be millions of years old, but this is like a new volcano.
Is this Eternals? Still haven't seen it. Good. Eternals is bad, and I wouldn't recommend it.
So we know what was the last.
I say that as someone who's a pretty big Marvel fan. Eternals was a big stinker.
Disaster, right? When Atlantis fell. Well, guess where this place is? This place is in the Atlantic Ocean, right in the place where Atlantis, I believe that Atlantis was. It's shown on a lot of other maps, but a lot...
You believe that's where Atlantis was. Wow, that's incredible. Atlantis on the bingo card, indeed.
A lot of people say that it was in the Eye of the Sahara. Well, that area in the Sahara was actually Lemuria. That was where the Lemurians are. Now, you have to remember that there were stargates all over the planet. So they used these stargates and went from one place to the next.
Believes sci-fi technology exists on the bingo card for the Stargate.
That's why the Sarasota Stargate goes to Jerusalem.
It what now? The what? Where? Goes where? When? What?
See, they could go back and forth. And so, this guy is talking about how they're saying that it's a volcano, but he's saying a difference about this place is that this is actually a volcano and an earthquake combined. And you can go and read the article because it's really long. But I was trying to find that section, but anyway, it's a tourist attraction, but they call it the Rip in the World, or the Tear in the Earth. And the information that this guy has done on this volcano is he was talking about fissures in it. Let me see where it is so I don't say the wrong thing.
Too late.
No, it's up before that. Hold on just a second.
The ripping and the tearing, the ripping and the tearing. Oh God, you're gonna make me pull up the ripping and the tearing clip. I hate this. Why are you making me do this? This is you! You did this! And other signs of abuse. Ripping and tearing, ripping and tearing. Where is he? Why is this hard to find now? I can only find the Tosh.0 clip about it. That's a shame. There it is. Oh, that's a remix.
Hey, what's going on? This is Terrence.
Here we go.
From Black Beach. Hey, what's going on? This is Terrence from BlackBeachWeek.com.
This is one of the worst things I've ever seen, by the way.
And let me tell you, I got a very special guest this time. His name is Rick, and where are you from, Rick? Arizona. Arizona. He's been a member for of Hedonism 2 for how many years again?
Since 1988.
How many times you say you've been here?
40 times.
40 times. Why? I mean, why? What brings you to hedonism that many times?
The wild women, the wild women, the ripping and the tearing, the ripping and the tearing.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Oh my goodness. So what have you done this whole entire week?
There's no other place in this universe like hedonism too.
None. None. You hear that? 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 Do your dance. Do your dance. Do your dance. See, this is. Ladies, I mean, I can't comment, but. Oh. See, this. I got nothing to say. Terrence, BlackBeachWeek.com, Memorial Day weekend, Hedonism 2, be there.
You know, I'm pretty sure it's a sex resort. Like, it's a resort people go to like, hook up. I think it's called Hedonism 2. So, like, I hope he had fun.
I was just like, yeah, this is definitely where Atlantis fell into the earth. No doubt about it. Okay, here it is. It's talking...
Hey! All you people in chat, you're always so sex positive until it's an older white man. I see how it is. It's a swingers resort. Yeah, that tracks.
About, okay, here it is. He says that these events were fissure eruptions, great tears in the earth, generally a few meters wide, that formed due to buildup of magmatic pressure below. Geologists would object to this description, I bet, but what distinguishes a fissure eruption for me is that within it, the properties of a volcano and earthquake are combined. So this is some seriously powerful energy under this volcano. So, I mean, that's pretty interesting because, you know, they were technologically advanced and they had all these crystals and all this other stuff.
I saw that in a movie with Michael J. Fox.
So I've read different things about, you know, it's funny because I have this dead butterfly that I picked up outside like a month ago, and it keeps blowing from one side to the other. It looks like it's coming back to life. Well, that'd be something.
I'm sorry, do you just have a dead butterfly on your desk? Like, I understand sometimes people collect them as specimens and maybe put them in those, like, frames, preserve them in some way. Did you pick up a butterfly on the street and just put it on your desk? And it's just flopping around? Yeah, it's a dead bug. You collected a dead bug and just set it somewhere. What do you think's gonna happen?
So anyway, I mean, I just find it interesting because they had all this technology.
Wonder what happened to Hedonism 1. Things got a little too hedonistic.
So if it's underneath the water, right there in Atlantis, then that could possibly be, you know, the same type of thing that could happen at the Bermuda Triangle. You know, this crystal technology that clicks in with the Stargate there, and that's how people get sucked into another dimension.
Oh.
So maybe when we pass over into the fourth dimension, we'll be able to see all these people that's went missing, that's walked through these Stargates, that's went through these portals. So we know that they're there now. So Missing 411, that'd be a cool thing to go back and visit. Go back and check out Missing 411 and see if any of these people were at any of these arc sites, because you know these Stargates also have these Bigfoot around them, so you know it's any game.
I wasn't expecting a cameo from Bigfoot, I'm not gonna lie.
With that, especially if they're these Bigfoot that came up from the second dimension, because they're half animal. and they have some celestial genealogy. This is why I think the good ones are monitored by the Palladians.
Big feet are from the second dimension because they're half animal, is what she just said.
Or they're controlled by the Palladians. Maybe they're like their little secret agents in the Bigfoot community is the Palladian ones amongst the bad ones. Who knows? I mean, it could be going all the way down to ants. We could have rogue ants and everything else. We really don't know. Truthfully, I mean, it could be anything. But I mean, the fact that there's just a publication that came out about there being an actual rip in the world, and that it's in the Atlantic Ocean, that blows my mind. So, you know, it's just one more thing to take.
If it was in the Pacific or the Indian Ocean, no big deal.
Look at more proof of Atlantis. So what do you guys think? Have a good one, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching Sacred Enzyme.
Does she think it's the Atlantic Ocean because Atlantis? That's the vibe I kind of got.
Have you ever been outside and seen crepuscular rays it looks like it's completely made up in order to... Is gravity a real, measurable force, or is it something that's just been completely made up in order to glue together the globe theory?
The first one.
Of course, I'm a conspiracy theorist, and let me just make a disclaimer that I have no idea what I'm talking about.
True! We can avoid it then, right?
However, this guy tries to explain gravity by putting a heavy thing over some tarp and saying that if you roll a marble around it, that's mimicking gravity. Does that make any sense to you? That's the best explanation.
That's a pretty bad explanation of what he's doing. He's describing in 3 dimensions the process of, like, bending third-dimensional space-time. You could mathematically show this, which I assume they did in the class. But I guess you can just call it silly on TikTok and idiots will believe you.
That he has, as well as Neil deGrasse Tyson, saying that gravity is the curvature of space and time. But when he was first
space-time
asked what is gravity, he goes, next question. You can't really measure it, or...
It works as a force. It's measurable as a force. I don't know what you want.
Understand it, it just is. So that's really odd that he can't explain what gravity is when he's apparently one of the smartest people on the planet.
Who said he was one of the smartest people on the planet? He's an intelligent guy. He knows what he's talking about in his specific field. He's a science communicator, and he's an astronomer, or whatever his specific thing is at that the Hayden Planetarium he works at. Forget his specific title.
So, where in the micro do we see big rocks attracting small rocks and forcing them to orbit around them and creating spherical shapes?
Is he aware that we have an experiment that's, like, relatively easy to do to show the gravitational constant? Involves, like, an apparatus with metal balls that do attract each other. Are you familiar with that?
I've never seen this in the history of forever. But of course,
doesn't seem like you looked for it. It seems like you just decided you knew a secret thing and made a TikTok immediately without actually looking if any of the things you're looking at are true. Thank you, the Cavendish experiment.
Gravity is a real thing. That's why objects fall to the ground, right? It's not relative density and buoyancy.
You literally have to have gravity to explain density and buoyancy affecting the thing you're talking about. That's why in the buoyancy equation, gravity is in there. G.
Compared to the things in the atmosphere around you. All I'm saying is something really doesn't make sense. But do me a favor and look into electrostatic levitation. And just look into how, if you repel the electromagnetic field of Earth, you can actually cause something to levitate above the ground. Entertainment purposes only.
This is air traffic.
Alright, I think we're done for the day. That doctor's appointment really tuckered me out. I was very nervous for it. And I need to get food. So let's see who we're gonna raid on Twitch. Thank you everyone for hanging out today. Had a lot of fun. Another tinfoil in the bag. We will be streaming tomorrow, I believe. And then certainly on Thursday we will, because that's Halloween, and we'll be doing a Halloween stream. I'd like to do longer than a normal stream on Thursday. Maybe do a couple movies and some other stuff. I don't know. It'll be fun. We'll hang out, do some spooky stuff. I would like that evening to hang out at home, so it probably won't go like all night. But, you know, we'll be on for a decent portion of the day. That should be fun. Ooh, VC Archives is live. Wait, did Sonic Shadow Generations come out? Oh, fuck.
Stuff for the Fringe. So it does look.
Stephanie's just talking. I wanted to see the game. Alright, let's do the raid. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night. Love you, Mr. Blast, and I'll see the rest of you soon. Adios. Tired. Need food. Carbs in my mouth. Night, everyone.